Hey, Zero?
Yeah?
I had a lot of fun. With you, I mean. It was fun being with you. The killing was hard. It was really hard. But
Stop repeating things.
getting to be with you, Zero, getting to eat next to you, getting to fly around with you, getting to have you yell at me, and then getting to be friends again. It was really, really fun.
I'm glad. Mikhail,
Yeah?
it's almost time.
Okay.
It's been too long, sister. Well, if it isn't the pretty princess. So what's it like being surrounded by a bunch of brainwashed idiots? Oh, I see that long, sharp tongue of yours hasn't changed. Still so rude. Rude? But I brought you a housewarming gift. A gift? For me? Why, whatever could it possibly be? It's revenge for what you did to me. No, right. How could I forget? Back then, you were so strong it made my thighs ache. But not anymore. Michael, the greatest of all dragons, is dead. And all that remains is that pathetic little shell of his former self. Still, I suppose I'll be nice and make him my pet once I've had my way with you.
Huh?
Yes, that's right. You and that sad excuse of a dragon will both belong to me soon. If you don't shut up, I'm gonna stab my eardrums with a fork. Oh, I have so missed these titillating little chats of ours. My dear, dear sister. But now it's time for you to die.
Behold, the fifth song, grand light of antiquity, the great power made manifest, the ceremony of glorious arrival. Burn into thine eyes the punishing lance of divine retribution. I, Dito, summon thee in my name. Fanuel, arise!
Ugh, how tacky can you get? Tell me, have my other sisters already had the pleasure? Nope, you're on top of the list. Oh, you really came to me first? How flattering. I figured I'd start with the stupidest and work my way down. Work your way down? Zero, don't tease me. I'm not teasing you, Five. I'm murdering you. Now, go to town on his ass. My, Zero, how strong you are. Well, I've been itching to beat you to death for a while now. I missed you so, Zero. I was so thrilled you came to see me. Truth be told, I almost came as well. That's nice. Zero, I love that flower in your eye. It really adds to your sex appeal. You're even sexier than you were a year ago. You can shut up any time, Five. My best feature is my breasts, of course. So round and perky. You can touch them if you want me. I think I'll pass. Maybe next time the three of us could have some fun together. There is no next time for you. Why are you breathing so hard, dummy?
Because you're heavy.
What?
I said, because you're heavy.
I'm having trouble hearing you, dragon. You want to try saying that one more time?
Ow! 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 My sword!
No! My song's power! No! Please! Shut up! If you want to kill an intoner, you gotta really make... Huh?
Whoa.
She's dead! She's dead! She's dead! You sure loved working me to the bone, didn't you? Well, your little disciple won't be taking your abuse anymore! You're no intoner now. You're nothing. You're just a big sack of meat. I love you, I love you. What'd you love? You make me sick. You goddamn stupid, selfish, sex crazed son of a... What was her name again? I forget. Enemy sighted!
It's pretty simple, really. All I do is put my nose to the grindstone and follow orders. Speaking of which, she kinda ordered me to kill you, so...
You really are an idiot.
All right, milady. Open up and say ah. Yes, perfect. Just like that. Keep it up. Behold the second song, Great Fist of Antiquity. The blood-wind storms that slash through fate, the steely hand that has sworn allegiance. Across the countless swarms of writhing dead, I sent, summoned thee in my name. Egregore, dance!
God damn it. You had to go and summon these gourd things.
Oh, the lady too thinks they're much more useful than plain old gourds. Oh, trivia time! Do you know why some gourds are narrow in the middle? So they can rearrange their nutrients halfway down the fruit. It's science! What's up?
Stop pretending you know what you're talking about, idiot.
Idiot? Yeah, rude. Now I'm a
kind-hearted man, so I'm usually willing to forgive such insults. That was really called for, wasn't it, Lady Two?
An idiot's an idiot. And Two lost her soul because she believed all the idiot crap you spouted. That makes her the biggest idiot of all.
Enough! You will stop belittling my lady at once!
Zero, look! He's running away!
Don't let him get away. Fighting two of these at once is rough.
Maybe we can all be friends instead.
Doubt it.
Zero, what's wrong with Zero?
She fought her own powers and lost. You need a strong mind to withstand the power of a song. She didn't have it.
So she's just sick, right? Can we cure her? Huh? Can we?
No. And besides, I'm trying to kill her here.
just yet, friends. The show is far from over.
Good. Crush it!
Get him, Zero, get him!
Me? You're the one who has to get him.
Michael.
You evolved. Again.
Huh. I guess that's that. Well, a clever and handsome man like me knows when he's beaten. I suppose from this point on, I'll be serving you, Lady Zero.
You're not gonna follow two to the grave?
Heavens, no. I just want to serve an intoner. I really don't care which one. After all, I'm just a big idiot, right? I want nothing more than to serve my intoner, and perhaps look good while doing it.
けクソ野郎。
色ボケって何？
頭の中があれでいっぱいってことだ。
あんた、それじゃあゼロコにしたら。
Drakengard 3 is a game where you play as a psychotic, foul-mouthed homewrecker on a mission to kill her sisters and steal their boyfriends before a light session of pegging.
前も後ろも綺麗に洗って。
前も後ろも。
And if amassing a harem of sexy anime dudes, mostly, isn't your thing, well then maybe you need to reload your chainsaw and check your privilege. And that privilege is the fact that some reason Square Enix still lets Yoko Taro make games. Hi, I'm Demolition D. First of all, why is this game even on my radar, especially someone like me who mostly reviews anime and yells at his cats in terms of channel content? Well, for one, Yoko Taro. Yoko Taro is the creator of the Drakengard series and its spin-off Nier, none of which have ever really been greeted with open arms outside of Japan due to consisting of confusing plot lines and clunky gameplay on a shoestring budget, and Drakengard 3 is no exception, so at this point you might be wondering, why should I care then? Well, maybe you should, maybe you shouldn't.
This shield is made out of vibranium. If you think you can shoot me through this...
My ass from left to right, pussy good, he up all night.
Someone was like, what you doing? Oh, so name 5 hockey players right now.
What about how female rappers be sexualizing themselves in every song?
Boy,
hell,
come on, man.
No, nigga, that's not even a video. Come on, bro.
We gotta do something like more broad, like female rappers be like type shit like.
This nigga think this 2014, bro. Stop acting like you thinking about that shit, bro. That ain't bullshit.
That was the sorriest shit ever.
What about how female rappers and sometimes male rappers too be on tracks nowadays?
Oh, I know you.
That's gonna take the whole caption space up.
No, long as fuck.
Bro, I understand. Look, I understand. We try not to get canceled, bro. Like this video just happened to be about some female rappers. Okay, so what about?
And so I put one hand up to the sky. The sky. The sky. Yeah.
The sky. Sky. I keep your nigga head between my thighs. And he fucking real hard like.
Hey, we talking about getting it out the mud on this song. I don't know if you know the topic.
No, y'all didn't tell me that.
Oh yeah, my fault. It's like getting it out the mud, like some inspirational stuff, like this beat don't even.
Inspirational, got it.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, I got you.
This beat don't need those words.
I can do that.
Oh, go ahead.
Right,
Nah, that's why we got you on the song.
Alright, let me try again.
For sure. Yeah.
You know I had to get it out the mud.
Yeah.
But it don't matter because it's pussy clean. Clean.
Hey, the topic, like getting it out the mud, like hard work, like you just got some money, like niggas ain't got no money, they broke, they getting the money up. I'm talking about hard work.
Getting this pussy clean was hard work. What you trying to say?
No. Nobody saying anything about your. I'm saying like hard work. That's what I'm saying.
Like inspirational.
Right. Inspire the people. That's not inspiring nobody for real.
Okay.
No,
okay.
yeah.
Let me fill it out.
No, just out of curiosity, can you start a verse off like without a beat?
Man, come on. You know I got bars.
I'm just making sure. I'm making sure. Go ahead. Say something. Just say something. Just start a verse off.
Right.
Start a verse off.
Okay. He said my ass was hella fat.
No, hold on. Like, that's try it one more time.
All right. Popping pussy like.
Yeah, I heard enough. Yeah, you don't have bars on top of bars. I said
ass in the club. Like,
that's the same thing you just said on the first one. Look, I ain't trying to get loud. Like, I don't know if this is on for you, honestly. I don't think it's on for you.
I am versatile. We all know that. What you mean it's not the song for me? I can switch it up. Was I not just switching it up? I went from talking about popping my pussy, keeping it clean, to shaking ass in the club.
Oh yeah, that's hella versatile for something else.
Those are two completely different stories. So hell yeah, it's versatile.
Play one of her songs real fast. Let me just play 2 of her songs.
Let's see.
I sell fat, cut a nigga like damn. Say he can't fit in his hands. Baby go.
Okay,
Baby go. Shaking my ass from left to right. Pussy good, he up all night. Crop it up, crop it up, crop it up, crop it up.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I'm gonna call you though. I'm gonna call you.
What you mean?
I'm gonna call you right back. Like we just.
But I'm right here.
No, I'm saying you are right here though for sure. Come on, H, come on.
Oh, where you going?
No, where you going?
Oh, I'm going.
Yeah, I'm gonna holler at you.
All right, I'm gonna talk to you.
All right.
Yeah, for sure. All right, H. Yeah. hockey players right now.
5 hockey players?
5 hockey players. Hurry up.
I can do NBA players or NFL players.
I ain't nobody said them. I said name 5 hockey players.
Well, you know hockey players don't get no love.
Yeah, it's up for you then. No. They got more than that for sure.
Nah, bro, these wouldn't be the leaders then.
I don't know what they talking about leaders, but they definitely got like Hulk, She-Hulk, Spider-Man,
bro.
Doctor Strange. They got some people, bro.
Hulk arm and a sling, bro. That's not Hulk no more, bro.
That is just Bruce Evans, boy. Sorry now, but that don't matter. But if none of these heroes here and it's just them, it's up.
White.
It's up. Don't matter what the situation is.
Please, what do you want? Who are you?
My name is
Where does it become not just a lesser evil, but like...
The lesser evil argument is so stupid because it implies that there is a perfect candidate that you ought to vote for. The most defining factor of our country is the fact that so many different types of people live here, but we all have to come together under a common set of rules and laws. And that is incredibly difficult because rules and laws are downstream from incredibly personal things like preferences and morals and ethics, right? It's very, 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 very hard to agree on these things.
People who are refusing to acknowledge reality, and they'd rather narrative hump all day talking about Democrats are so bad, Democrats are so bad, Democrats are so bad, but oh yeah, I'm a leftist.
Oh my God. Hello? Kyle Linsky? What did Crystal do to this man? Look at how mad she is. Was she not expecting this much pushback?
We're going to discuss Cornel West's campaign and everything around that. And
Okay.
I just want everybody in the audience to know, because I don't know if we've said this publicly before,
Nope, you
that
haven't.
like he's been invited on multiple times and he just hasn't come on yet. And you know, this goes all the way back to when he launched. We invited him on. He hasn't come on yet. You know, will he eventually? I don't know. You know, it's up to him. Ball's in his court.
Balls.
And we had him on before.
We had him on before. Yeah, before he announced his campaign. I mean, we're going back to when the People's Party thing launched.
Right.
We invited him on all the way back then too, and just haven't heard back or anything. But I just don't want people to think we're debating Cornel West, but like Crystal and Kyle are refusing to talk to Cornel West. We'd love to talk to Cornel West. We want to have him, you know, we'd love to have him on at any point in time to discuss anything and everything. In New York, I'm in a safe state. So would I vote for Cornel West in New York? Yes, because I have a 95% agreement with him on policy. And I think it would be nice to get the Green Party in a position where if they become more viable because we get ranked choice voting or something, it'd be nice to grow their popularity a little bit. And when we get ranked choice voting, I think they kind of automatically become a lot more viable. So I'd like to help out in that process. But if I'm in a swing state and it's Biden versus Trump, I'm at the point now where I don't even think it's a tough call. I would definitely vote.
Can I just say that... Clip it.
If young Metro don't trust you, I'm gonna shoot you. Beautiful morning.
Clip it. Okay? Can I just say that I absolutely fucking adore that he married his two positions in a super coherent way. That if it's a state where you don't think the Republican has a shot in winning, vote for another person, throw your vote at a third-party candidate, helps him get funding, helps him get on ballots, helps you make your voice heard. But if it's a state where the election is close and it really matters, probably vote for the guy that has a chance of winning. That is such a mature and politically efficacious way to marry your idealized position of giving third-party candidates a chance while still remaining realistic about electoral outcomes. Destiny, he actually held that position since 2016. I distinctly remember listening to him say, I think he said, somebody can find the clip if I'm wrong. I think he said, I could be wrong. I think he said, like, I'm in New York or something, so I'm going to vote random anyway because it doesn't matter, but I can't recommend to my audience that they vote for Biden. I feel like I heard him say that explicitly. Could be wrong. You can go find the quote, but I think this is one of my biggest criticisms. I thought I heard him say that specifically, that I can't recommend to my audience that they vote for Biden, and I'm voting third party. But that's what I remember hearing, but could be wrong.
Vote for Biden because either in that situation, even if other people are running, either the Democrat or the Republican is going to win. And in my estimation, Biden has definitely passed what I would describe as my bare minimum purity test. And I think if it's him or Trump, or even him or DeSantis or anybody, he just blows them out of the water. And so I think I'd happily vote for Biden in that instance. Your response?
So I similarly was voting for Jill Stein.
Oh, God. Okay, cool. Nice. Good. Great. That's a perfect position. Perfectly good. Nice. Okay.
In New York in 2016.
I did the same.
And I also happen to believe that strategically it makes the most sense to apply pressure to the Democratic Party by voting for not Biden in a primary.
Oh, no. Wait, what? Green Party candidate Cornel West owes more than $500,000 in taxes and child support. Okay. I don't like this headline. Taxes and child support? What's the separation here? The delineation. Okay, I have to make sure that word fit there correctly. Because like if he owes like $1,000 in child support and $499,000 in taxes, that's one thing. But if he owes like $300,000 in taxes and $200,000 in child support, woo! He owes $466,000 in federal income tax from 2013. He accrued a debt of $750,000. Jesus. Oh, and he owes an outstanding $50,000 child support judgment from 2003. I mean, like, obviously he should pay it, but this is a 20-year-old judgment. The average U.S. child support obligation is about $5,800 per year. Eh. Oh.
Marianne Williamson is obviously the most progressive candidate in the primary, and then vote for Cornel West in the general. And I know there are a lot of people in my audience who are frustrated by that plan.
When do you get the time to pray if you stream all day? Well, every time I throw up a Be Right Back screen, that's typically what I'm doing. I'm usually going off to pray. I probably only pray like 3 or 4 times a day. I should do more, but yeah, of course.
They think that it takes something away from Cornel West's run, or it affirms the Democratic Party in some way to vote for Marianne Williamson running as a Democrat. I don't feel that way. I feel it's a little hypocritical to have that position, given that we all just enthusiastically voted for Bernie twice in the primary the last 2 rounds. You can make a distinction saying that Bernie was an independent, and he always identified as an independent, and Marianne Williamson doesn't have that kind of cloak of distance from the Democratic Party. You can say what you want. I don't see those things as mutually exclusive in the least. So that is also my plan. I differ from you only insofar as that I would say it's a more difficult choice in a swing state to decide what you're going to do. But I frankly respect people who feel comfortable. It has not been something that I have to contend with, but I respect people who feel comfortable voting third party even in swing states.
No respect. Negative respect. You're the worst and most privileged type of wealthy, insulated from society's problems type of person that you can possibly be if you would want to vote on a 100% losing candidate just because I don't even know why.
The reason is this, and it goes back to that early bad faith viral Noam Chomsky interview, in which I asked him about a month before the 2020 race. Look, I said, I take your point. Let's say Trump is an existential threat. Let's say that he's a unique threat among all Republican candidates. My concern is that every year, because we all vote for blue no matter who, because most Democrats vote blue no matter who, or most left-leaning people do, the message that gets sent out is that Democrats don't have a bar. You can go as low as you want, as close to the Democratic Party as you, Republican Party as you want, and there's a ratchet to the right effect. And Republicans know that they can keep being more and more extreme. And so I want you to explain to me what you predict to be the stopping point at which we're no longer saying this new Republican is the worst that has ever happened. This new Republican is the worst that has ever happened. Tell me you're not going to be saying the same thing about Ron DeSantis or Vivek Ramaswamy or whatever other person comes down the pike. And he was unable, in my subjective view, to respond credibly to that claim. So if somebody could tell me strategically what the stopping point is going to be of making this argument of the lesser of two evils, I would be open to the idea that, okay, this is the last one. Donald Trump, fine. He tried to steal the election, fine. That is a new line that he has crossed. But absent an acknowledgement that we are creating our own destiny by lowering the bar in these ways,
Okay, hold on.
I'm not comfortable coming out and criticizing anybody who no longer wants to be complicit.
I see you guys are posting Ayla in chat, but unfortunately you guys also unhingedly hate Ayla too, so why would I take your opinions on anything she says seriously? So, boom.
In that kind of a system that's enabled the Democratic Party to not have a primary, treat Marianne Williamson as badly as they've treated her, treat Bernie Sanders as badly as they treated him, and openly come out and say they don't have to hold a free, fair election. The DNC argued that in court, you know?
So let me explain a little bit of my position. I think that'll help respond to some of what you said there. And I'm also curious to dig in a little bit more to your analysis of how the Biden administration has actually been in reality. So last election in 2020, I did live in a swing state. I lived in Virginia, still live in Virginia, registered in Virginia. And it did not feel good to vote for Joe Biden. But I decided to vote for Joe Biden, which is something I said publicly at the time. But I said something very similar to you, which is like, listen, this was not easy for me. If you, wherever you live, swing state, not swing state, etc., you do whatever you analyze is the right thing to do. And the reason that I voted for him primarily at that time, even though I thought he had an atrocious record in the Senate, even though, you know, complicit in the Iraq War, complicit in bad trade deals, complicit, you know, like terrible things on crime, all that stuff, right? The primary reason I voted for him was because of the National Labor Relations Board. And because labor politics and building out union power in this country, to me, is one of the most important goals, and something that I think we all share and leftists generally believe. Now, in retrospect, not only do I feel good about that vote, he's actually surprised me. Now, I've got all kinds of issues, right? On the National Labor Relations Board, though, specifically, they just issued a ruling which could be a complete game changer for unions. And just to explain to people a little bit, basically, in the past, bosses could union bust with impunity, no accountability. Now, the process going forward is completely changed. If bosses are caught union busting, then that's it. There's no more election. It's canceled. They have to recognize the union and start bargaining with them. That's the biggest shift in labor relations we've had in our lifetime. So that's why at this point, I'm not only, you know, it's likely to, I'm a Marianne supporter as well, but we can all see the most likely outcome is it's going to be Trump versus Biden. Not only would I say that protecting the Biden National Labor Relations Board isn't important enough for me to vote for Joe Biden, but it is important enough that I would actively encourage, but I'm not going to shame them for whatever they decide to do, but I would actively encourage people who are in a swing state to vote for Joe Biden, if for no other reason than to protect that board.
Do you have any big plans before the year ends? Trips, etc.
The one... I'm going to fuck your mom.
And I had this conversation on my podcast.
Oh, sorry, this is not on screen. Mom jokes are never going away.
In the last episode.
Never mind. I'll reduce your mom jokes by 72%. Okay.
And there were people who would characterize that position as, I mean, you've heard the thing. You've been on the internet. You know, being too credulous about Biden, or, you know, being too comfortable in one's own position in life and not needing enough change and being happy with the status quo. People will say things like that. I think actually that if your priority, if you believe the path to meaningful change is going to primarily come through a kind of, I don't say this dismissively, but a kind of labor incrementalism, meaning there are
incremental change is how change is made. Okay?
Meaningful labor gains that happen.
Like, she doesn't care about incremental change because it's not sexy and cool and fun. She just wants like a revolution.
Are not the type of which would radically transform the system the way that some people want to happen in a shorter term. That there are people for whom, even as significant as those labor gains are, it's simply insufficient. And what they see when they look at the trajectory of the last 50, 60 years of Democratic Party politics, when they read Listen Liberal and see the longer game the Democratic Party making a concerted choice to back away from labor in a way that has gone on for decades and isn't necessarily turning around as a consequence of Joe Biden having some good NLRB appointments.
So
let me actually,
and then I want to jump into it.
So number one, I don't think that in like massively increasing union density, I actually don't see that as incremental change. I mean, if you look at the chart of the decline in the middle class and the decline of union density, you'd be hard pressed to find a more significant factor.
I made these arguments as well.
But the other piece is,
Hell yeah.
I feel like those same people who are right about the Democratic Party, they were right, you know,
Oh my God, guys. I feel like it might be happening. I think a long time ago, somebody asked me, like, what's like the next trend in internet politics? And this is back when the neoliberal subreddit on Reddit was booming. And I was like, maybe we'll make like a small, like little slide back towards kind of like liberalism, maybe, or whatever the new age Reddit neoliberalism is. Either of those I think would be fine. Could it happen? Could it happen? Maybe.
About the analysis in Listen Liberal, right about the fact that you had, you know, this free trade bipartisan consensus, and in large part a union busting bipartisan consensus, also don't acknowledge that there actually has been.
Because I'll be honest, I didn't expect to hear Kyle Kalinske like adamantly defend voting for Biden. I never expected to hear that. Crystal Ball, that's her name, right? Absolutely never expected to hear that. Never in a billion years. After watching her on, what was it, Waking Points or whatever the that show was, I never would have expected to hear that. So, you know, maybe.
A notable shift.
No, wait, there's no way that's her name. Is it Kristen Ball? Wait, what the fuck is her name? Oh, is it Kristen Ball? Is it really Crystal Ball? Wait, it can't be Crystal Ball. There's no way. I feel like I would have. It is Crystal Ball? Wait, is it? No, that must be like a fake name. Wait, what? Okay, well.
In the Biden administration. Now, my big issue with the Biden administration, I mean, there's a million of them, right? On foreign policy, I've got problems. But my biggest issue economically with the Biden administration is the way they've allowed the pandemic relief, the short-term pandemic relief programs to fall away and leave a lot of ordinary Americans in a more precarious financial position now than they were at the beginning of the administration. And that's not nothing. But when I look at the long term, when I look at the fact that, listen, with the Inflation Reduction Act, with the CHIPS Act, with infrastructure investment, you're talking about industrial policy in a way that would have been completely unheard of in the Clinton-Obama era. When you look at not just the NLRB, which I said is like the core for me, but also his antitrust appointments and the fact they're really trying to reverse decades of neoliberal attack on any sort of trust busting, I feel like none of those improvements that have made Biden on that front way better than Obama, way better than Clinton, I just feel like there's no willingness to acknowledge any of that whatsoever.
True.
I don't think the issue is acknowledging it. It's how much it matters to you, how weighty that is to you, and how much you see those kind of meaningful, call them meaningful, improvements as really core to the nature of the project that you're on. And I think that what some people are frustrated by is that this went from feeling like, in both left media and left politics, a bigger revolutionary project that was going to the core of our capitalist system and wanting to radically...
Yes, and the problem is nobody gives a fuck. Nobody cared. It was a bunch of young people with a bunch of young energy and a bunch of bad ideas that didn't go anywhere. Similar kind of to what Trump had, but at least I guess the Republicans had more support for it. But yeah, there's a reason why the whole Bernie movement was dead in 2 years. That's why he kind of made a splash, I guess, when he tried to run again, but like, not really. Nobody cares. Like, Bernie's, like, that movement completely and totally died. All the excitement behind it, all the people behind it, it's gone, it's done, it's over.
Change the way that human lives are valued, what we consider to be the nature of our social safety net, what we believe to be the nature of what we consider to be human rights. And they wanted to join a movement that validated what many of us felt intrinsically, emotionally for most of our lives, that something in the milk very much wasn't clean. And Bernie came along and articulated that it was legitimate for us to be asking for something more. And so at this point, it does feel as though there has been a kind of a bait and switch. It's not that what you're describing isn't true or legitimate. And I said this on my podcast. If your priorities are what you have kind of articulated your priorities as being, I think it's a perfectly legitimate argument. But I have to hold space for the fact that for many people, it simply is inadequate.
Wait, can I respond?
Yeah,
let me jump in here. So my issue is that many people on the left are, I would say, dishonestly refusing to acknowledge any good things that were done. We could all on the left list, like, here's the 57 things we hate that Biden did. But when something good happens, I'm the only one talking about it, and then I get accused of being a DNC shit.
I like how he still has to caveat. You can tell where he's coming from, and you can see where he's going, right? But it's like, okay, hold on. I know Biden did a million. It's funny. They talk about Biden like how people on the left talk about me. Like, okay, I know that Destiny, like, killed my dog and ran over my cat and, like, killed my sister and everything. But on this one particular point, maybe he said something that I can kind of sort of, like, they talk about Biden the same way they talk about me. It's really funny. Jesus.
Yeah. Now, I'm not like, look, I'm not blind. I think in order to be intellectually honest, you have to look at, here's the good things that happen, here's the bad thing that happened. I'm going to give them all to you. And then you could judge how much you value each and which one you weigh more and how that factors into your, like, voting analysis. But I was like the poster boy back in the day, or people viewed me this way, as like, he's the purity tester. He's like the main purity tester guy. And I didn't vote for Biden in 2020 because I didn't think he would pass my purity test. Now, at the time,
so I was
go
right.
back and watch the video. My purity test was super lenient. It was like, if I'm convinced you're going to do like 2 or 3 of the things that I value highly, then I would vote for you. Because I know it's basically down to just the Democrat and the Republican, no matter how much we want to wish the Green Party or Libertarians want to wish the Libertarian Party into existence. And so when I look at the record, again, I could list all the bad things, but she just mentioned the NLRB raising overtime pay, or you mentioned the thing where, you know, they automatically recognize the union if the bosses try to bust it up. There's also the overtime pay rule, where now it's not $33,000, it's about $55,000 a year, where now you get overtime pay. That's a huge, huge change. Student loan debt reduction, and even Biden coming back after the Supreme Court tried to slap it down, and he said, no, I'm going to try to do it through the Higher Education Act now. There's little things we could go after him. Oh, the interest rate. Yes, that's bad. I agree with you on that. But we got to recognize that that is, all things considered, a step in the right direction. Pulling out of Afghanistan, he actually had the balls to do it, even when the media was shitting on him relentlessly. And I didn't see anybody on the left coming into his defense at that point in time.
A lot of people
I was like the only fucking one. It was like me and Matt Iglesias.
I definitely defended him.
Okay, well, then it's like 3 people. I didn't, and all these, oh, I'm so anti-war, anti-war. He pulls out of Afghanistan, and it gets messy, because that's what happens when you pull out of wars. And all of a sudden, oh my God, you know, it's the
I thought that
end
was
of the
actually
world.
a good moment for the left. I saw a lot of consensus. Good on you, because we almost resented and kind of were enjoying the extent to which he was getting, you know, dogpiled by the mainstream media, and we were the only ones defending him. So I would quibble with that a little bit.
I didn't see much defending him. I really didn't.
Kyle, what people are responding to, if I can offer this, is not the idea that you are accurately describing advancements, good things that Joe Biden is doing. I think you could also say Obama did some good things.
No, you know? Biden is way better than Obama, not even close.
That's not the point I'm making. Okay. It's not that one is better than the other. You could also sit here and say Obama did good things. Now, the way you bristled at me saying that, I could say, oh, why won't you just acknowledge that Obama did good things? The same way that you're saying that leftists won't acknowledge, they bristle when you acknowledge that Biden did good things. And it's because we have different standards and we're making different kinds of comparisons.
But that's not my issue, because they're not even acknowledging the good things, is my point. I have a list of 47 things here, and I've heard nobody talk about any of them.
But let me get to the core of this point. The reason that people are frustrated with that kind of analysis is because it's been used for so long.
It's because it's not a revolution. I need full socialism. If I don't get full socialism, I don't care. That's the only thing we care about, is full socialism.
Long by liberals to justify why people shouldn't be asking for more. I'm not saying that that's what you're doing. But if you bring up something like student debt, when the consensus of all of the student debt experts that I've talked to on my podcast, people from the Debt Collective, the Asher Taylors of the world, the legal experts I've brought on, is that there was a path toward doing this, to canceling all student debt that would not have been stymied by the Supreme Court. The same authority that Donald Trump used to enact the student debt moratorium, which has been ongoing until beginning of this month for the last 3 years, was the same authority that he could have canceled all student debt with a stroke of a pen. He chose not to do that because he decided to means test the program. He circulated those documents. I got one in my inbox last August, I believe it was, to see if you qualify for student debt. It was a very easy form. But when he did that, that started the clock for people to be able to challenge it in court, which what 6 states did, 2 of them were successful, and now here we are today. Not only did he decline to do the unstoppable mechanism to actually cancel all student debt.
Unstoppable.
He additionally chose to use a legal authority, which when many legal experts said was the most vulnerable one. So you're now saying,
no,
he could have used the Higher Education Act.
He did. He did. He invoked it.
He could have done that in the first instance.
But he didn't, and now he tried it again through the Higher Education Act. The idea that it's like it's a conspiracy, he doesn't want to actually cancel it. No,
Thank you. God, this is such a brainlet take. Like the idea that like, well, actually, if Biden really wanted to, there was actually another way that he could have circumvented this, and he could have done it completely, but the reason why he's not is because he actually never actually wanted to, because Biden hates students, and Biden hates students, and Biden never wanted students. I'm like, why? If Biden could just forgive a student loan debt, like, why would he not? We gave so much stimulus. Why would he not give more to students? Like, I don't know. It just seems silly. And like the idea that all of these other challenges, I haven't looked into them particularly, so maybe there is some novel fucking argument that I've never heard of before. But the idea that these ones would have magically survived, what the fuck are the purple power slugs? The idea that these ones would have survived like every Supreme Court challenge, but like he just happened to choose the one that didn't intentionally because he knew it wouldn't. It was just like
appealed the case like 4 or 5 times, and then at the end of it, when the Supreme Court said, no, you can't do that, he said, fuck you, I can, and he did the Higher Education Act. That's exactly what we wanted him to do. Then he does it, and people go, oh, that's not good enough. And it's like, that's ridiculous.
There, Kyle, what we wanted him to do was, first and foremost, just cancel the student debt.
I expected him to do nothing on student debt. This is the point I'm trying to get across to you, is that I expected nothing from Biden, and he did way more than I expected. Let's be honest about that.
It's not about your expectations. We have different expectations.
Of course I'm going to talk about it through my expectations. I'm me.
But I want to pivot this conversation a little bit, because what we really have is a tactical disagreement. We could quibble about student loan debt. We could quibble about all kinds of aspects of the Biden administration. All of us would like him to do more. There's no doubt about that. But hold on a second. our political aims are ultimately very similar. But I do think the student loan debt example is instructive because it shows what has been effective in terms of securing real gains versus what has been ineffective. Jill Stein running in 2016, I don't think she was a spoiler, but the Democratic Party thinks she was a spoiler. They put that out to the public. So in the theory of change where a third party would force all of this revolutionary change on the Democratic Party, that should have worked. But instead, it served to allow the Democratic Party to basically demonize and dismiss third-party efforts, and then they prop up Joe Biden. So that definitely didn't work. However, the fact that Joe Biden had to be on a primary debate stage versus Bernie and Marianne and a whole lot of Elizabeth Warren, a whole lot of other people who were pushing him on student loan debt cancellation, forced him into a position of doing something when he 100% would have done nothing otherwise. And we can see that now because...
it's the world is healing, okay? This is a good analysis, too, of the importance of and why... Now, I don't want to say I hate third parties or we shouldn't have third parties, but you can argue that in the American political system, third parties aren't necessarily necessary because your candidates within a party can actually cause a pretty substantial shift in political opinion within a single party. A really good example of this might be what she just said here, where multiple candidates pushing Biden on student loan forgiveness. Or another great example is I'm pretty sure Hillary Clinton wasn't a big 15 an hour minimum wage person, but Bernie Sanders pushed her on that and I think got her to basically commit to 15 an hour on stage, even if it's a bad policy and even if it's never going to happen. Like, so even within a party, you can cause pretty substantial movements from the mainstream candidates from smaller candidates within the party that represent, you know, margins further to the left or right. But yeah.
You know, the fact that they've basically like blocked any sort of real democratic process within the Democratic primary has made it possible for him to literally promise nothing for this next term thus far. So you can see how the third party effort was not successful in bringing about whatever revolutionary change people want to see. And the process that Bernie engaged in and that Marianne Williamson is engaging in now was far more effective in actually delivering results. And that's what I'm focused on.
So, first of all, you, I think, are both fundamentally, dramatically overestimating and overstating and giving way too much credit in the that you can make your labor point, the student debt point, absolutely not. Joe Biden promised and coerced people to the polls by saying he was going to cancel
Coerced people.
at least $10,000 of everybody's student loan debt, and moreover, cancel all student loan debt for graduates.
Wow, Brian, thanks for subbing. Destiny, do you think Brianna basically wants a Trump from the left? A little bit, yeah. She's like very populist leading, yeah.
Of HBCUs. And he went down to Georgia, a state that he not only needed to win for the presidency, but needed to win for the Senate, and where there are 3 of the major HBCUs in the United States of America, made that promise, and people knocked doors and turned people out to the polls on the basis of that promise, which he immediately stopped talking about the second he got elected and reneged upon. He also knew the authority that he had to cancel all student debt. And I know because all of these student debt advocates have been talking about how they were directly liaising with his office and communicating these points, and they chose to ignore them and do a plan that he knew could be obstructed. You can say it's not a conspiracy theory, that's conspiratorial thinking, but it's either a conspiracy or he's an idiot. Those are the options.
So she literally thinks that it was all intentional, I guess. Okay.
Not especially comfortable in validating either of those things. Now, you were saying that you were looking through the prism of your own perspective.
No, I was saying I expected nothing from him, like we all expected nothing from him.
Absolutely not. The people that he promised.
I expected nothing from him. I expected nothing of Joe Biden. He was the guy who brought us NAFTA. He's the guy who brought us the Iraq War. He's the guy who wrote the Patriot Act, who wrote the crime bill. I expected nothing of him.
When a presidential candidate makes a promise to people and lies to them in order to get them to go to the polls.
I hate this crude. This is a Lav argument. He lied. Did he lie? Your problem, Lav, is you are assuming that Cherry is like just fucking lying. Okay? Now it could be.
She did just lie.
Saying something that is not true is not the same as lying. Do you understand that?
No. No, I don't.
Okay, sure. Let me explain. No, stop. No, stop. I don't. Stop. Okay. A lie implies intent. Okay? If I tell you I'm gonna be home by 5, yes, it does, you dumb bitch. Do you think that if he had the opportunity to cancel student loan debt, you don't think he would have? Do you really, truly, 1,000,000% believe that this is a bold-faced lie? Seriously?
I believe that it's my job as a member of independent media to make it clear so that people don't fall for those kinds of mistakes going forward. If Biden wants to run as I'm a milquetoast incrementalist who's just better than Trump, he can feel free to do that all day and night, and then he would have lived up to the expectations that he set for himself in the context of a primary campaign.
He did run as a milquetoast.
He promised to cancel all student debt for every graduate of an HBCU and $10,000 to $20,000 of student debt for people who earn less than $125,000 a year. Now, that might not matter to you, and I defend you guys against claims that, you don't care about this stuff because, you're out of touch and it doesn't affect you in material. I think that some of those claims get really silly and overly personalized. But Biden made a choice to tell 44 million Americans who have student debt that he was not only going to not fulfill his promise to them, but that in the middle of the debt ceiling argument of a couple of months ago, the one thing that he was going to bargain
Destiny, do you
away
think
to
Hassan
get the
being
debt
overtaxed
ceiling
in Mexico would make him switch political side? Also, it's good to hear a push for third party to a degree.
No.
passed was ending the student loan moratorium. So now it's not me. I'm not the one in control of whoever votes. He has to make the case to those 44 million Americans who's he's starting their student debt up. Right? Months
Is
before
the
an
plan
election.
stronger or weaker than what you expected? Because it's way stronger than what I expected.
Way weaker than what I expected.
I expected nothing from him on student debt. Nothing.
The real question, though, is we all want all of the debt to be canceled.
Duh. Yeah, of course.
What is the most likely path to get us there?
It's not Joe Biden,
but
obviously.
Hold on. But I don't see how Cornel West getting 5% of the vote and unintentionally helping to reelect Trump, that doesn't get us there at all.
Let's get into that. So for
whereas
two things.
if you have a primary contender actually able face-to-face to pressure him, we have seen the way that can potentially work.
Those things aren't mutually exclusive. So why is that an argument against Cornel West?
It doesn't have to be exclusive, but do you think that the project of defeating Trump is worthwhile at all? Because I would turn back on you. You asked the question, like, where's the bottom of the lesser evil question? Like, where does that end? I would turn it back on you and say, where does it become not just a lesser evil, but like, actually this person is significant.
The lesser evil argument is so stupid because it implies that there is a perfect candidate that you ought to vote for. I'm sorry, but politics in the adult world is all about compromise. We live in the United States, and honestly, the most defining factor of our country is the fact that so many different types of people live here, but we all have to come together under a common set of rules and laws. And that is incredibly difficult because rules and laws are downstream from incredibly personal things like preferences and morals and ethics, right? It's very, 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 very hard to agree on these things. I don't like the lesser of evil things because in any large election, you're almost always going to be voting for the lesser of two evils. Just necessarily so. That's almost always going to be the case. If it is going to be the case that there is a perfect candidate for you to vote for, like this is the one, I align with them and everything, then other people are going to be voting for him as a lesser of two evils in their eyes. That's just, I hate that phrase. It's so naive and it makes this incorrect assumption that we are entitled to, or we should expect in a democratic republic with so many different types of people, we should expect to have candidates that 100% fully coincide with the things that we believe. It's just such a silly phrase. Oh, it's raining.
Significantly better. And I would say that Biden, for my disappointments with him, for all of the things that I talk about plenty, including disappointments on student loan debt, including on the pandemic relief that I talked about, including on the railways, all these things, right? Ukraine. At what point, though, do you acknowledge that this person is a lot better than Donald Trump? And so when you're in this binary choice where let's not pretend like Cornel West is going to be president of the United States, it is worth making the choice in that situation to reelect Joe Biden and get the NLRB and get the antitrust stuff and get what is at hand to be gotten in this moment and live to fight another day.
So for one, Crystal, somebody might say, and people did make this exact argument against Bernie Sanders. Fine, he's on the stage, but I'm not going to vote for him. I'm not going to weaken the person who's ultimately obviously going to be the president of the United States. Why not vote for Biden in the primaries? Why? And you're wrinkling your brow because it's a ridiculous argument. I completely agree. I don't see the argument for Marianne and against Cornel West, they have nothing to do with each other. You can vote for Marianne in a primary. You can be happy that she's on the debate stage, which obviously they aren't allowing, which is material to this argument, I've got to say. Some people you're saying, what is the Green Party going to do? The Democratic Party has demonstrated that it won't host a free and fair and open primary.
Wait, I get that. But how does Cornel West getting 5% of the vote and helping unintentionally to re-elect Trump, how does that move